and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But first of all, for those of you who may be tuning in for the very first time, sitting across from me is none other than Bishop David Dwayne, Dwayne David, The Rock Royster.
And sitting across from me is the Reverend Dr. Mark Kelly, the new senator from Arizona, Tyler. There we go.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Listen, folks, it's going to be a great show on this morning. It's Friday, so after all, we want to send you into the weekend with a bang on this morning. You can check us out and join us on Facebook Live and do like I'm doing right now. I'm about to do this. There it is. Boom. I just hit the share button.
There we go.
Didn't cost a dime, but hopefully it'll bring a few folk into this conversation. A few more. Glad to see Peggy in already this morning, and Robert and Hope Oken. Always hits us with the Buenos Dias, and my Facebook wants to ask, would you like that translated? No, I think I'm good, Facebook. I got through that part of Spanish. I'm good. Want you to be in this conversation, so come on in, Facebook Live, join in with us. We have multiple options of listening on today. Go to wordradio.com. That's WURD radio.com, and you can find out. All right, so my sound quality apparently is not the best on today. And I'm not exactly sure what that's about. But it's going to be what it's going to be.
It's actually really funny. I don't know what happened. So I'm on my backup headset because my mixer and the headset are not working. So I'm actually on another set. And I guess I got to go buy a new headset this weekend, or something's wrong with my mixer too. So I don't know. It's Technical Friday. That's what it is. It's Tech Problem Friday.
So, maybe some of the angels who are coming from Texas and Africa and South America can stop by and fix my microphone before you go by and deal with Trump's troubles. Did you hear that? You heard another white evangelical colleague of ours has called upon, was actually declared that angels have been dispatched. Sounding much like Paula White. This is, I think, Bishop Pearson in Texas, where he said angels, and we call them ancestors. He said the people in heaven, or the great cloud of witnesses. He said they are also crying out about the ways in which Donald Trump is being treated in this election. Have you heard that?
I have not heard that, and I'm glad I have not, because I probably wouldn't be really kind. So, wow, that's really wild. The ancestors have been dispatched because Donald Trump is not the president. That's not going to be president. Wow, that's deep. That's deep. I'm going to pray for them. I'm really going to pray for them.
Yeah, no, it's like serious, man. This is serious stuff. They're like, hey, he said the angels are upset. And so apparently Trump doesn't trust in angels too much because after ending his legal challenges in Michigan, his legal challenges gave up, just like Rudy Giuliani's hair dye. But after giving up his legal challenge in Michigan, he has not given up on Michigan, because today I understand he is entertaining leaders of the Michigan delegation that's led by Republicans, the House and the Senate. And you will remember, just to note, that it was not even close in Michigan. Biden won by over 150,000 votes, but he's bringing them in. And what is his play?
His play is to bring them in to stall the certification of the vote so that the Michigan legislature can then choose the electors. Same plan he's got here for Pennsylvania.
Hi, this is Jeff Brown from Brown's Family ShopRites and Fresh Grocers. Are you
Jeff, what are you doing? What are you? I'm about to call Jeff right now. Like, don't ever interrupt our show again like that. I'm just gonna bust up in one of his supermarkets today and just start talking where his cashier's trying to ring somebody up. Like, now I got you back.
So here's the plan. The plan is, well, first, there's two plans going right now. So the two Republican Wayne County electors are now claiming that they've been coerced, and they want to change their votes for the certification of the Wayne County election. Right, so there's one thing that's happening there. Evidently, the female Republican commissioner received a personal phone call from Donald Trump, but evidently there's no way to uncertify the certification. But she said they felt pressured from the community to change her vote the first time. That's what the community's supposed to do. That's called open democracy, like, participatory democracy. We get to tell you what we think and what we want to happen, and then you as a representative are supposed to make it happen. So I don't fully understand that one. Second one is now he's invited the Speaker of the House, of the Michigan House, and the Senate President Pro Tem of the Michigan Senate to come to the White House today for conversations that nobody is actually talking about, except everybody suspects that the goal here is to get them to come in and to convince them that they can select their own electors, throw Biden's electors out. Now, much like the Pennsylvania Speaker of the House and Senate President Pro Tem, the Michigan Senate Pro Tem and the Speaker of the House in Michigan have both said they're going to respect the vote and respect the will of the people. However, I guess there's some arm twisting happening here to be able to make this stuff happen. So anyway, they're going to go meet with Donald Trump, the loser, and see what he wants to talk to them about and what he wants to do in his last 65 days now.
Trump has lost his mind.
Yes, he has.
Listen, so, well, I mean, honestly, it's a shame, but we have to talk about it, because truly the only story from yesterday that people can remember, it's Rudy Giuliani's hair. I'll tell you, you must not have seen the pictures, have you?
I mean, I've seen some of the pictures of what he's been out of. He looks crazy.
No. You haven't seen the picture.
Okay, there's the picture. All right,
well, I know that we had a big.
Let me look it up.
Just if you type in any search menu and you put Rudy, the next two things that are going to come up are the words hair dye. Trust me. It won't even say Giuliani. You just put in Rudy right now on your phone, wherever you are, your device. It's going to come up hair dye. So he dyes his hair. Well, you may not have known that, but you know it by now.
He followed after his boss.
Because yesterday, in the middle of like this rambling, incoherent, press event where he was alleging all kind of things, he was
down his head.
Man, he was sweating profusely, and then the hair dye gave out. Now, according to Raphael on Facebook, and I trust Raphael's assessment here, he says Rudy is getting about $20,000 a day.
Well, no, that's been reported, yes.
Okay, right. So that's what I said. So I know Raphael's typically he doesn't, so 20 grand a day. You think you can get some hair dye that doesn't run like that. Now, I just don't use the stuff. I mean, you see the gray on my beard here. And so I just, I haven't gone there. So I didn't know that it runs. But I got to think that was not a good day yesterday for all of those hair dye companies.
No. But he might have got, that stuff that you could just spray in your hair? Maybe that's what he used because it was quick, fast, in a hurry.
Bro, it was bad. I mean,
I just saw the picture. So yeah, it was streaking down his. It really was contrasting with his very pale skin. So
yeah. Well, so listen. So here's something in this transition that is really bothering me. Boy. So right now, the transition of power. Again, this is going to happen. We know it's going to happen. January 20th by 1 p.m. We'll have a new president of the United States, Joe Biden. His birthday's today, by the way. Now, this is not on them, but in the Inquirer today, there is a story in the Clout section that talks about Philadelphians or those in our region who might be a part of the Biden team going forward. Now, what I find absolutely amazing, and these are some of the writers that I have a lot of respect for, so I'm actually going to reach out to them personally and just point this out to them. I think this is a tremendous oversight, and they only lift up white men. Literally. They talk about Chris Coons, U.S. Senator Chris Coons, possibly being Secretary of State. Bob Casey, who says, I want no parts of anything. I'm going to stay in the Senate. Brendan Boyle, David Cohen. And then they go into a couple of people who don't even have any positions anymore. Bob Brady, who says he just wants to be a quote-unquote friend of Joe. And, dude, they even bring in Mike Stack. You remember Lieutenant Governor Stack?
Yeah, they got kicked to the curb, yes.
One of the crazy outfits?
Yes.
He dressed like a comedian. You know why? Because I just found out after reading that story, that's what he's doing now, comedy in L.A.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called Mickey Stack is his stage name.
Oh, wow.
But so you're going to do an article about Philadelphia area people who might be in the Biden administration. And you're going to dig so deep that you would actually go and lift up a guy who's out of politics, who's doing comedy, and only lift up 5 white men, no white women, no black men, and no black women who have been the backbone of the Democratic Party in this moment, many of whom are in this region here in Philadelphia, who are out there stumping for Biden. And this is called reporting. I mean, I just think that this is egregious and oversight. You can't even call it an oversight. This is not Happy Days. It's not the 1950s. Come on, Inky. Somebody should have caught this. They have caught so much hell this year. Going back to, to my friend Inga Saffron's article about, historic buildings matter too, playing off of Black Lives Matter. Yeah. And I've even been in conversations with the Inquirer and their staff. And then you do something like this and like nobody in these multiple layers catches it. I mean, man, you all are just trying to give Mike Days a hard day today, because Mike is going to see this and say, come on, what the hell? What? No Dwight Evans, who was like the biggest Biden supporter of all.
I know, really.
Mike Nutter, no Sherelle Parker, no Cindy Bass. Oh my God, this is horrible.
No Mark Tyler.
Yeah, right. I'm like Bob Brady on that one. I'll just be a friend of Joe.
I thought about it when you brought the list up originally. I was like, I wonder if you were on the list. That's what I was trying to figure out. Look,
that would be a shocker.
That has to be. Shocker. Look, there's got to be an AME in the White House.
Yeah.
Wow, I got you on that. I'm actually, I'm curious about something. So I'm really curious about this whole thing with Simone Sanders, because the press secretary is not a confirmed position, so it could just easily be named. And I'm trying to figure out why she hasn't been named yet, or whether they were testing to see how people would respond to Simone Sanders being the press secretary. It's just bothering me. I don't know if it's bothering you or not, but it's not a confirmed position. And like with all the other folk, like Cedric Richmond from Louisiana, who's now going to be a senior advisor, the chief of staff, all these are internal White House positions, so that you don't need to do any confirmation. You just hire them. The president gets to hire who the president wants to do this. And I'm sort of like, why hasn't this just been announced? And a done deal already? Like, that should just be a done deal.
Yeah, it should be. And you're right. You have to wonder why. But I mean, yeah, I just think that a part of the reason I brought that article up is of in addition to it being offensive, that it just overlooks almost everybody, who makes up the Democratic base. I didn't even talk about Latino and Latinas, Asian Americans, this diverse population.
Yeah.
Folk from the queer community, none of those, nobody else is in there. You know what I mean? Just, but it also seems to be a reflection of what happens within the party as well, which is what gives people a lot of pause. And I mean, you would think, again, like the Inquirer taking all that hell this year, the Democratic Party would be wise enough to know that, again, the people who had propped you up the most should have been named first.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit it before, even when there's been talk about other candidates right now, right? Or even anybody on the senior transition team, there's not a black woman in that mix, right? Other than Kamala Harris, there's not anybody in that mix. So I think that's a real challenge there. I just want to note, Will Mega points out, he said it speaks more to the fact that blacks haven't prepared a transition plan and recommendation. He said Mark Tyler, the list you mentioned, wasn't too impressive either, the same old black retreads. And yeah, go ahead. You were going to say something?
No, I was just going to say, I don't think that it is that at all. I mean, I agree that the list is not that impressive, but I don't think that means that black folk are not in his ear suggested names. I just think that, like down where he is in Wilmington and like in Philadelphia, that, that if we don't make it an issue, and I mean, by we, I mean all of us who are on the outside, there are always those who are on the inside, trust me, who are lifting up these kind of names, who often get we'll get to that. But those of us who are on the outside, if we're going to make this this administration different than 2008, it starts now. And
Absolutely.
it starts with raising hell about the smallest of things, right? Because if you check them on the small things, like, yo, you can't roll out with a bunch of white folk first already assigned. You have not named one black woman yet to something significant. And it was black women that carried you and saved your life in South Carolina.
Absolutely.
Black women who saved you in this election. And then you're going to name a white guy first, and then a white woman, and then a black guy. Come on, bro. We're not going to play like that. And so we have to hold them accountable on the very little things, because if you can't keep them accountable there, you'll never keep them accountable on the big things.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of new political leaders, we're State Representative Derisha K. Parker is with us this morning. So good to see you, State Rep. Appreciate you.
Right.
All right. So anyway, we gotta go to break because we have a guest coming up in a minute.
Yeah, we're gonna speak when we come back about a new documentary on gun violence. So if if this is an issue that really bothers you, I just want to give you forewarning. But we'll be talking to Anton Moore, South Philly, who is an activist, an organizer, community leader, and Anton has done an incredible documentary that debuts on today, a series around what gun violence does to the survivors of gun violence, and they look at it from all angles. It is called The Weight of Death, and that's weight as in heaviness, not like waiting on it, but the weight of death. So we're going to talk to Anton when we come back and hear from you all as well with your comments on Facebook that we will share. This is the Power Hour. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Jeff Brown from Brown's Family ShopRites and Fresh Grocers. Are you thinking about a part-time job to help out with the cost of the holidays? We have plenty of openings. You can apply online at shoprite.com/careers or freshgrocer.com/careers. Come join the Brown family today and help us serve the people of Philadelphia. Have a great holiday.
Always Best Care is a great place to work.
Flexibility,
leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Save the date. Friday, December 4th from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. for the 5th annual WURD Empowerment Experience. And this year, the virtual and on-air event will be extra special as we celebrate the career of radio veteran Cody Anderson and discuss the importance of independent black media. For more details about the 2020 WURD Empowerment Experience or to RSVP, visit wordradio.com and stay tuned to WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. Some volume building here in Philadelphia. Southbound 95, Cobham through Bridge. Some volume there. Again, Allegheny through Girard. Some slowing northbound side, not bad yet. Westbound Vine Lake Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound already getting jammed. University through the Vine Expressway through that work zone. Eastbound side, no problems. PA Turnpike, Blue Route 476 in pretty good shape. 42, 55, 295, not bad yet in South Jersey. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster along with Mark Kelly Tyler. We are so glad you're joining us here, and you join us every Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around Philadelphia, and of course, our personal opinions. And we spent some time talking about the Biden transition, the list from the Philadelphia Inquirer about potential members of the cabinet, all of whom were identified as white men, very problematic.
I was wrong, too. There are actually 6, not
6?
5.
6. Well, so let me just say something about Chris Coons, though. So Chris Coons was a protege of Joe Biden's. So Chris Coons, I understand. I understand that very clearly. Like, he's very close to the Biden family, and actually probably models his leadership in the Senate similarly to Joe Biden. So I think that that's part of what it is.
Well, I love Chris Coons. Chris Coons, I had a chance to meet him and interviewed him actually for a small documentary piece that we did on someone out of Delaware. And he's actually, he studied for the ministry. I don't know if you
I did not know that. No, I didn't know that.
And when you understand that, then you kind of get him and his view of the world. He is actually, again, really sharp. And so, okay, great. So he's really sharp, and it comes across in the way that he deals with, his position as a U.S. senator. And I'm not criticizing any of the people that were called and lifted up in the article. That's not the point of what I'm saying. My point is that for the Philadelphia Inquirer, a paper that has repeatedly caught hell for a lack of diversity. They did a story earlier this year talking about people who are considering leaving the city for reasons around schooling, and all of the families they featured were white, as though black families don't have these same considerations. I'm
Absolutely.
like, so black folk don't move because of schools, or they don't, and so it's like you have to keep telling them the same thing over and over. Don't run a story about people that you think who could be good in the Biden team, and it's not inclusive. You can't do that in 2020 and lift up only 6 white men, some of whom are not even in politics anymore. For God's sake, do better. So listen, and all right, come on, you all. This is not a, all right, never, I'm not even gonna go there. I'm just gonna let it go. So right now we want to talk about a project that is being released on today in Philadelphia that addresses one of the most important issues that is plaguing us right now. Black folk have been living under multiple pandemics. We are suffering disproportionately health-wise when it comes to COVID-19. The shutdown and the economic ramifications have impacted us more because more black folk are in those jobs that are hourly, hotel workers, people at the airport, in jobs restaurants that are not needed in this moment. And so we've been hit with that, and hit, unfortunately, by a spike in gun violence in this city. Over 400 people murdered this year, and we're not even close to the end of the year just yet. And just has many of us unable to sleep at night. One of the persons who has taken his advocacy to another level and is really working on this is community leader Anton Moore. And Anton, we're glad to have you on the Power Hour this morning with myself and Bishop Dwayne Royster. Good morning to you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Anton, are you a ward leader as well?
Yes, ward leader of the 48th Ward.
Man, that's what's up. Anton is like no joke, man. Well, listen, so you guys have been working on this thing. It's called The Weight of Death, and that's like weight, like heaviness. So talk about it. Tell us, what it is, and mainly where we can also find it as well.
So the weight of death is the weight on families of gun violence victims and their death, and how, the weight is on their mind, is on their soul. And we started this project maybe like 2.5, 3 years ago. It started off as a conversation. We shot a PSA about gun violence, and then I said to my partner, Matt, I said, look, I want to tell these stories. And we've been shooting over 3 years. We were able to get artists like Meek Mill, Black Thought from the Roots, Larry Krasner, the Philadelphia Prison Commissioner, and a host of other great people to come together, mothers and fathers who have lost their kids to gun violence. Tonight at 8 o'clock at theweightofdeath.com, we're actually premiering our first episode, which we really, are excited about because we want people to see it. Even yesterday, Pastor, 2 days ago, I went and showed some brothers who are on probation for gun violence and showed them that, the first episode, and tears was flowing down some of the young brothers' eyes because the young lady who we spotlighted was Dominique Oglesby, who was murdered on 52nd Street. She's 23 years old, going to Penn State, and she was a victim of gun violence. They shot her father, her grandfather, and they shot her, and the bullet killed her.
Yeah, and her mom is actually, ironically, a member of our church, and I know that it's such a painful place for them. And as you've done these stories, how many people have you interviewed?
We probably interviewed over 100 people. Like we've been every place you probably could imagine. We've been inside of morgues, funeral homes, jail system, everywhere you probably could imagine. And man, I think we talked about it yesterday on the phone, Rev. that, man, it's a weight on your mind too. You know what I mean? Taking in these stories and hearing these stories, it's tough, man. It's the trauma behind it. You know what I mean? But man, these stories got to be told.
So when you all, man, I can't even imagine talking to that many people about, about these things. And so for someone who's done this, how has it impacted you all, and how has it made you view the issue of gun violence? Are you looking at it differently? Are you looking at it in other kind of ways that you weren't before?
You know what? I think that it brings a charge to our heart and our mind that we have a responsibility to put this out there on another level, because, it's affecting African Americans. When you look at what's going on here in Philadelphia and you see 300 to 400 murders, you say to yourself, they're predominantly African Americans. So we have to make sure that we keep this issue on the forefront. When the news talk about it, 1 second, hey, this person was killed, or you see a news article, that's it. No, we need those voices to echo throughout the city so people know this is a problem, this is an issue. So when they watch it, they say to themselves, damn, this is what's happening, this is how we're destroying families, so they can stop and think for a second and say, we need to put these guns down.
Royster, this is this is the end of, so gun violence typically is kind of the end of a lot of the bad policy decisions that we often talk about, right? So failing schools, the inability for young black men to find gainful employment, driven into an underground economy, kind of the violence that happens in neighborhoods where poverty, holds them. Gun violence becomes the leading symptom of all of these other things. I mean, I know we talk about this a lot, but, how's this weight of death sitting on you?
I have to admit, I'm just stunned listening. And I think sometimes it's very easy to get angry about this and watch it from the television and, be somewhat numb to it. But just listening to Anton tell the stories is actually just has a weight on me right now. I guess one of the things I wanted to ask Anton, though, this question, like, what were some of the common themes to the families and the victims that you were finding in that? Are there similarities? What were some of the things that at some point you said, wow, like everybody is this, or everybody comes from this? Was there any of that in this when you were working on it?
You know what's funny? And it's not funny, is that a lot of the brothers who committed these crimes, a lot of the people you talk to, they come from fatherless households. They come from households where the father wasn't available, you know what I mean? Or the father didn't play a role, you know what I mean? So when you do your research, you say, well, who was the person that killed this person, and where did they come from, and, what's their background? You find that out. That somewhere, some way, somehow, there was a lack of parenting through the pipeline in this situation. And I'm coming to find that. Even the young guys I went to talk to 2 days ago, and it was about 16 of them in the room. And I said, how many of you guys have fathers at home? Only 2 of them raised their hand.
Wow.
Man, that's heavy.
And what about the victims? Were there any commonalities in the victims at all?
The victims, looking at the victims, man, is that these victims had promising futures. You look at, Dominique would be 23 years old. 2 weeks later, she was set to graduate from Penn State. She had an influence. In our next episode, Tynera Borum, 3 years old, being shot on the step. I mean, young lady didn't even really start her life. So you look at that, you say to yourself, man, how do these bullets find these innocent people? Not that, people that are not innocent deserve this, but it's baffling to me, man. And I mean, you look at it, you say to yourself, it just makes you think long and hard about this process.
Folks, we're talking to Anton Moore, community leader in South Philadelphia, also a ward leader, activist, organizer. He and his partners have put together The Weight of Death, a docuseries that begins on tonight. You can check it out at theweightofdeath.com. And again, this is, it's one of those things that you have to watch. I'm not looking forward to seeing it because I know what it's going to do, but it's something that I have to see, and it's an important work. You talked about fathers, right? Listen, I say that all the time, and it's funny because in my block, growing up in East Oakland, and I got into a ton of trouble, a lot of lot of the same kind of things, Anton. It's like, but by the grace of God that I'm not dead or in jail right now. Like friends of mine who did not make it to 21. I remember being 18, and at that time, the big talk was, if I make it to 21, it's going to be a party. The ways in which we talk about retirement, that's how we felt about 21 at 18. And in that neighborhood, there were 12 boys that we all grew up in a cohort together. And I will say maybe 2 had fathers in their house. The rest of us didn't. Fathers were in and out. And, you know, mothers cannot restrain you at a certain age. We got 15, 16. My mother couldn't control my brother and I. We were gone. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, and we weren't trying to be disrespectful, but we were like, you know, you're becoming men, and without that influence. And I think about it now, we have a society that does almost everything it can to discourage, you know, black fathers from staying at home. If you can't make a living for yourself, I know this now as a man, if you can't provide for your family, what that does to you, the ways in which that drives a man away from a home of embarrassment, shame. It should not, but I'm just saying there are a lot of factors that lead to this and that are systemic that I think we sometimes miss.
Yep, I agree.
So let me ask you, Anton, as you were doing this film, as you were thinking about it, were solutions coming to mind for you for how to solve this issue?
Yes, and you're going to hear some of them tonight. You know what I mean? And even with funding, like we have to get away from, and I know we look at gun violence, look at a holistic approach. You get what I'm saying? I think that we have to take those funds and make an example out of the neighborhoods with a high poverty rate. Just like Rev just said, you know, there are schools in our community that we know that are doing bad. You know what I mean? We need to get those funds into those communities, work with those community leaders to change those neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Because it's small things. As far as employment and working with young men, you know, to get their resume and different things like that, these young men want to change. But a lot of times they don't know who to go to. And I think sometimes in the city of Philadelphia, not the city of Philadelphia, and other cities, we look at it as a holistic approach when it's really a neighborhood approach we need to go tackle this at. And like I said, make an example. It's almost like I would say an experiment. Going into with the toughest neighborhoods and supplying those resources and see what works and see what doesn't work and approach it from that way. Because like I said, just imagine if every community leader were to take care of their block and work with those 5 to 6 young men on their block that know that they're at risk. It would change their approach. So when we look at it, it's not as I say again, it's not a holistic approach. It's a block-by-block approach.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we talked about some of that on the show as well. I want to get one more question in from Facebook before we run out of time. Will Mega asked, do you all talk at any point on one of the episodes about the high rate of unsolved murders in Philadelphia?
Oh, yeah. I think we actually talk about that in the second episode. We discussed about the not even just, just in Philadelphia, but just the no snitching. You know what I mean? How no snitching affects the community, because a lot of crimes go unsolved because people don't say anything. Like we can say, oh, the police need to find this, and that. Well, the other side of this is that if Johnny gets killed in Delaware County, them people step up to Montgomery County, them people step up to the place, say something like, look, this is going on. But in our community, there's a no snitching code, and we touch on that in the second episode, and it gets real deep. You know what I mean? Actually, Larry Krasner talked about it in this episode, but we really dive deep in it in the second episode and explain the breakdown of why people don't speak up and why a lot of these murders go unsolved.
Wow. Folks, listen, this is Anton Moore, and he is one of the creators of The Weight of Death. It's a docuseries. Hey, who else helped you put this together so we can shout them out as well?
I want to give a shout out to my producers, Matt Cannon and Jamie Boris. The guys really work hard to help us, bring this idea, this step idea to life, and I just appreciate them so much. And I want to shout out to Deli Dove Care for helping out as well. So it's teamwork makes the dream work. And shout out to Will Mega too, great guy, West Philadelphia.
All right, excellent. That's
Why y'all laugh?
It's an inside joke. Will gives us the hardest time, but we know it's only because he really loves us as his brothers. But anyway,
Will Megan reminds me of Hulk Hogan.
Hey, Anton, listen, man. Have a good debut on tonight. Hope that people are watching it, and we're certainly praying for the families of all of those victims. And people like the EMTs and others who have to show up on those scenes repeatedly and care for folk, the morticians, the ways it stresses everybody. And we know that's all going to come out. Anton Moore, you can check it out tonight, The Weight of Death at 8 p.m. Eastern time, right?
Yep. Yes, indeed.
All right. And, hey, Royster, guess where Anton Moore grew up?
Where's that?
The AME Church. That's
AME
it.
Church.
All right.
Oh, geez. Here we go.
All right. Take care, Anton. We got to go to break, man. We'll talk to you later. All right. We'll be right back, folks. It's the Power Hour.
COVID-19 impacted a lot of things this year, including regular vaccination appointments. Vaccines help protect you and everyone around you, especially during flu season. Schedule an appointment with your healthcare provider today to make sure you and your children are vaccinated. Vaccines keep us safe, and they work. Skip the flu this year. Get your vaccination today. Let's stay protected together. For more information, visit health.pa.gov. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Livelihood, the new initiative from WURD Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Staples Store. Some volume getting a bit busy. Southbound 95, Cotman down through Bridge, through construction. Again, Allegheny through Girard. Again, further south, watch for restrictions between Broad Street and Bartram Avenue. An accident there is the reason if you're heading to the airport early on this morning. Southbound 95 restrictions there. Northbound looks pretty good. Westbound Vine Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. You're slow there. Schuylkill westbound, that's JM University through the Vine, through that construction. Eastbound, not bad. 55 northbound, building a bit from 55 from Deptford into 42 now this morning. Staples helps you ship holiday gifts and packages with care this season. Right now, save 30% on select shipping supplies and 25% on UPS Expedited shipping service. All friends at 1-221 while supplies last. See store for details. Save big at Staples. For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour with Mark Kelly Tyler and Dwayne David Royster. You join us here Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., bringing you the latest news, happenings around Philadelphia, and of course, our opinions. Listen, we want to open up the phone lines, but here's the thing. We wanted to stay on topic that we're talking about, which is gun violence here in the city of Philadelphia. You can just call us, 215-634-8065. Again, 215-634-8065. Give us a call and be a part of it. Now, we got to be brief because we don't have a lot of time left. We want to get callers in, but we also want to stay on topic at the same time. And so deeply appreciate y'all that want to check us out and be in conversation with us on tonight, on this morning. Oh, Lord, this morning. I'm thinking about solutions already. I'm thinking about the show, because you can join me tonight with Amadi Braxton from 5 to 7 on Solutions on WURD. That will be later on today. So we look forward to that as well.
So Ant Young on Facebook says, we need to actually address issues in the judicial and prison system. Serving time is one thing, but wearing the scarlet letter of felon for life limits employment and other opportunities that will help a person advance in his life. Now, I mean, you talk about so what Anton was just mentioning, when you asked him about a solution, right? So he said, well, it'd be great to have people on the block. Again, you can't just have anybody on the block. We've talked about this before as well. I told you about my boy Lexi. Like, there's some people on our block, responsible parents, business owners. I mean, if Mr. Collins, who ran the barbershop, came and told us, hey, boys, knock it off, we'd be like, yeah, whatever, old man, beat it. But if Lexi rolled up and said, hey, knock it off, we'd be like, all right, Lex, you ain't got to say it like that, because Lexi had served time. Lexi was like a little bit ahead of us and had that kind of cred. Here's the trouble. In Philadelphia and most places, if you have a felony, then the city can't employ you in that kind of way, right? And so if you have a violent felony, but you have changed your life, who better knows how to tell a 19-year-old how to avoid the pitfalls of a violent lifestyle? That person. But we won't pay that person. And so we then, and because as Ant said, we put the scarlet letter on them, and they're now unemployable for life, they are ultimately driven back into a world that many times they don't want to go. This is not TV. I know this for a fact. Many of you know this for a fact. And again, if you're a grown man, I mean, there's only so many who have the tolerance to work at a place that pays them below minimum wage, and and really just it's not befitting. But the majority are not going to do that. So why don't we invest in these guys instead and put them back to work?
I agree. Now, listen, we got a caller on the line, but somebody's asking the question about when and where this is going to air, because people might not necessarily know how to access the documentary. So how do they do that?
I put it in the Facebook chat as well. It is theweightofdeath.com, and that's weight like a heaviness, W-E-I, that weight, not W-A-I. So look for theweightofdeath.com at 8 o'clock tonight.
8 o'clock tonight. All right. Let's go to Barbara from West Philly. Barbara, welcome to the Power Hour.
Good morning. That was one thing I wanted to know too. You can just get it online. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And contact information for Antoine Moore?
I don't have Anton's contact info, but I will try to get it and we'll share it. I'm not sure exactly what info he wants shared out. But on the website, there's actually a website for theweightofdeath.com. There's a tab where you can connect with them.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
So this is heavy. No, go right ahead.
No, it's real heavy. And I just think, I appreciate one of the things that Anton said was when I asked the question about solutions, his first solution wasn't going to get the guns off the street. His first solution was we got to deal with poverty. Right, that this is the issue that a lot of people are not getting, that the challenge of gun violence is an issue of poverty and people struggling and trying to fight to survive. Unfortunately, it manifests itself in this way because we have not given people the tools, the resources that they need to be able to survive. And that survive, our colleague, the Reverend Mike McBride, has been working with the mayor in Richmond, California, and what they started doing was actually paying those responsible for gun violence not to shoot people. And they've seen a dramatic reduction in gun violence in the city of Richmond. Richmond's a little bit like the Wild Wild West. And they actually were able to get a reduction because part of the issue is the issue of survival. If people don't have to feel like they have to fight for every dime penny, have to fight for every corner to be able to stand on and handle their business, then they don't feel compelled to have to go out and shoot people.
Well, but that's too much like right, isn't it? That's exactly what I'm saying. It's about finding credible messengers and propping them up. And so if you're going to talk about changing a culture like that we have here, then it's also a way of providing gainful employment. I mean, what's more fulfilling to somebody who's ever made a mistake in life than going back and devoting your life to helping prevent people from making that same mistake? You see it with people who have become alcoholics. You see it with people who have become, hooked on drugs, people who made mistakes with, like try to cheat the system with, embezzlement or whatever else, who they come back and want to help, those who come behind. People who have been a part of violent culture are no different and also want to. But in our society, we seem to be less willing to believe that persons like that can change, but people can. And one of the ways you can really, help them in that change and stay successful is to give them some real meaning to their work by providing a real, job that has life-giving wages to it, right? I mean, a living wage. You got to do it.
Well, I mean, we have a bunch of jobs in Philadelphia that don't have living wages. I mean, so that's part of the challenge, right? We have to adjust the wage for the city, and so that people are actually able to make a wage. They're not working 2 or 3 jobs, exhausted, trying to figure out how to make it. The kids don't have to chip in to try to raise money for the household, things of that nature. I think that goes a long way as well.
Oh, man. All right. Yeah, sorry, I'm not going to read that comment there. I'm going to leave it right there on Facebook, because that'll open up a whole can of worms. But this is not an easy solution that we have. It's generations in the making, and there are multiple reasons why our community looks like this. One of them is that America never had a solution for what happens to this property that they brought over when it's no longer their property. Yeah. And so this nation has never even apologized in a real way for slavery. It never made an investment by way of reparations for what it took from Black people in building this country up. And it has never in a real way tried to integrate, the Black masses into this quote unquote American dream. It has been content with leaving us where we are and just creating these walled off, places and allowing us to just, do whatever it is, I guess, that we do. Listen, there was a story, just to kind of speak about this, you brought up Richmond. So in the Bay Area, a story happened this week where there's a Black family moved into a very nice neighborhood in the Bay. And I forget the name of this little community. Oh, Discovery Bay. They have all these nice little cute names now. And they've been in there for several years. They have a pit bull now. A white neighbor who grew up in Oklahoma, older woman, who they've known, comes up to them because she doesn't like the fact they got a pit, and tells them she's caught on their doorbell camera, their ring type camera, and she doesn't know it. And she's telling the father of this family, who's raising this family right, that they need to act white. She said, wow. You moved into a white neighborhood. You need to act white. You can't come in here acting Black. He said what you said. Wow. What are you talking about? Well, you're a dog and you're acting Black. You don't need to act Black. You're here with us now. Act white. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? This is my point, though, is that she is speaking for many white people, right, in this country. A lot of us are still shocked and devastated about the fact that so many white folk that we know voted for Trump in spite of all the racist stuff that he has said and retweeted and put out there, all of the stuff that's been offensive to us. And we're like, how could that happen? Well, folks, welcome. This is, like Childish Gambino said, this is America.
That's right. I can, but I totally get that. I totally get why they said that, right? And part of it is, if you imagine, went back earlier when you were talking about the articles where they were talking about people leaving Philadelphia for the school system and going out to other areas, right? That you leave these communities, you leave these urban areas because what you're getting in those urban areas is not satisfying. And therefore, when you move out into these white communities, white folk are like, well, it's because what was Black was not good enough. And so you came out here to be with us. So then you need to identify with our culture and act the way that we do in our culture. Don't come out here changing us. We're not moving and trying to change you, which is actually a lie, because a whole lot of white folk are moving back into the city now and then gentrifying the communities and then causing all kinds of havoc. I've watched this down in D.C. In a really bad way. But This is a whole problematic issue all the way around, but I'm just surprised. I shouldn't be surprised that somebody was bold enough to go say something about it to somebody. I really shouldn't be surprised by that at all.
To her neighbor that she has lived next to for years, you are acting black. You know why I'm acting black? Because I'm black. You know why you're acting white? Because you're white.
Well, what does it mean to act black? What does it really mean to act black?
I guess, you walk and you talk and you drive and you live and you sing and you dance. And I don't know what it means, man. It's like the family didn't know. She didn't know. Hey, one last thing. The Weight of Death, you can find them. Thank you very much for one of our listeners. We call you all show producers. Kataria, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, posted that it's weightofdeath@gmail.com is their address. All right?
All right, we got to go off the air. We'll be back Monday morning at 6 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around Philadelphia and our pairings. Shout out to Croatia Masters for holding it down on the board for us for Croatia. We really appreciate you. Thank you to all of our listeners. Anton Moore for calling in and being a part of the show today. Remember to check out theweightofdeath.com tonight at 8 o'clock to be able to see this new docuseries that's being lifted up. Thank you, Reverend Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler. We'll see you on Monday. Listen, go out, change the damn world, because if you don't, yes, sir.
Stop acting black.
If you don't change it, nobody else will. Peace.
Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head.